So now we'll start on the second meeting, which is the only parish council meeting. First item to receive apologies. Do we receive Councillor Bonhoeffer and Councillor Allen and Councillor Javetson? The second item is to receive declarations of interest. So any declarations of interest?
Just white committee.
Oh yeah. I don't think there's anything that I suppose.
I've read through it.
Yeah.
Why? One action group.
And then the next item was to receive and approve the minutes of the previous meeting, which was on the 26th of April. And that's only 9 pages.
So we propose those. That's it's too pretty. It's too pretty.
Right, so we've had those for a little while. I don't get any comments being received about the minutes. No. So can we have a proposal that the minutes of the 26th of April? There's that.
I'll second it.
Yeah, that's correct. The next item is to see if there's any updates on matters around the same. Section 9 on finance, there's a finance section on the agenda tonight. Section 10 on planning, there's a planning matters on the agenda tonight. Sorry. I can't see anything to update on that's
Not on
the
the
agenda later.
Anyway.
So I think we can move on to the agenda. The next item is nominations for chair. So could I ask whether there are any nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate Dennis again.
And are there any other nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate Portia. Councillor Portia.
With that in mind, could we have a vote then? Could we have a vote for the nomination of Dennis as chair? Sorry.
Thank you very much for your nomination, but I feel now, after that many years I've been chairman, I just like it. I'm sorry about this, but you know, my house not what it should be, and I make it really. I'd sooner you said it. So whether nominate him now, I'd like to thank you, but you see my point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Yeah. Thank you.
Nomination for Portia. Can we have a vote for Portia?
You just second, I think.
Can we have a seconder?
Portia, me.
Sorry.
I'll second it.
So, so could we have the vote for Portia to this nomination for chair?
Dennis, did you hear that?
Four.
I've got to get me a selfie.
And are there any abstentions? Any abstentions?
Yes.
1, 2.
Yeah. Pardon?
You're not abstaining.
Oh no, I'm not abstaining. I'm not voting for Portia.
So with that in mind, I'll hand over to our new chairperson.
I'm very happy to
We
get
have
this on.
a declaration of acceptance that needs to be signed.
Are you, would you prefer, oh, yeah. That we should have a look at the end, shall we? Yeah. Right, thank you. We don't want to hang around because we've got a lot to do this evening. So nominations for vice chairman. Mike.
With all due respect, like Dennis, I'm having a few health problems at the moment, and it's an inappropriate time for me to accept that. Next year maybe.
Thank you, Mike.
In the interest of a balance between the two wards, I do think it's important that the vice chair should come from the ward, and I'll nominate Andrea for vice chair.
I nominate Angela for vice chair.
Andrea.
Sorry, yeah. You know what I mean, don't you?
We know.
You're too late, Frank, I just nominated.
So, can we vote? Any more nominations for vice chair? No, we will vote on Andrea as vice chair then. We've got that, we've got an abstention as well.
Yeah, that's it as well.
Lovely. Now, come on with the paperwork. Councillors, you received in your papers, you received a piece of paper about Finance and General Purpose meeting, Finance and General Purpose Committee. And the suggestion for the Finance and General Purpose Committee is to take pressure off full council meetings. As we've heard a lot tonight, we've been struggling to manage the business with lots of things being deferred. So in the interest of keeping things moving, if we do it right, we can make the workload much more manageable going forward. And we've got a really important priority at the moment of sorting out Claire's contract. Claire, we haven't introduced you. Can I please introduce you, because that's a really important thing. Our new clerk, Claire, and responsible financial officer and proper officer. It's a bit of a mouthful, your job title, isn't it? And do you want to tell us a little bit?
Yes, you know I'm Claire. I've worked small business and local government, so I'm hoping I've got a wealth of skills to bring to the table, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the last only a few weeks I've been working for you now, but there's a lot to plough through, as I'm sure you appreciate, but yeah, I'm working my way through it and enjoying it, so feel free to contact me, question me whenever whenever you see fit.
Can I say one thing? I hope we can keep you.
We're very pleased to have you. Somebody tried to poach your office already, but she's got a very good job with another council that's paying her a lot more and giving her a lot more hours, but she's agreed to stay with us despite that.
That's what I thought.
So yeah, thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you.
So, as I say, the priority is getting Claire's contract and supporting paperwork sorted out so that she's properly employed and that we can keep her, yes. There's going to be a lot of meetings initially to get that sorted, and it's been difficult having time to fit everything in. So with that in mind, you need to be available really, I would say you need to get one, maybe even two additional meetings in June. So we'd have the full council meeting and one or maybe two others. And looking at the pattern, I wonder if we aim to go straight with our traditional pattern or a traditional pattern that we'll discuss later on from September, so that we can use the August break to juggle the dates, if you see what I mean. Because obviously we don't want one right at the end of May and then back in the second week of June. If we use the August break, we can have a meeting towards the end of July and then another one at the beginning of September, which would work well, but we'll come to that pattern later. So given, I'm sort of proposing that we have 5 councillors to form the Finance and General Purpose Committee, with a quorum of 3, and Rowena, as you found in your supporting papers. Ali's done a lot of work on banking, if he felt able to be involved. I know Alex has done a lot of, because of his work, he has information about employment. Pat, I know you were on the personnel and working forces, but you're away a lot in the summer, might be the only problem. Jack and I have done the Good Employer course, and we're involved in the interviewing. Andrew and I have done lots of work on policies, which might come up in the future.
The Finance Committee, we disbanded the Finance Committee to put it to full council. I appreciate the full council's busy and they're trying to take some of the workload off, but we're planning on making the council meetings, getting rid of some of the stuff that we've got overhanging from the previous year. So I would like to try and keep the Finance Committee on the whole group, as in the whole council, rather than just 5, because you're going to have, there's going to be 3 from one area and 2 from the other. Is it going to be fair for everybody? It was put to the council that it would be fair if the whole of us could vote.
I think
That's why we've done it. Now, also, can we revisit this after we've made the decision? Is it within the 6 months? I believe it is. So can we revisit this?
This isn't about the Finance Committee, though. The initial thrust of this is actually going to be more the personnel stuff. But rather than having an awful lot of committees, this one additional committee can do what's needed at whatever time. Now, I'm proposing that we do this with this initial focus on personnel, but then it's available because we will need a budget sorting out. There are things in the audit, which you've got the paperwork for, like an annual financial risk assessment and a couple of other things that we do need to tie in quite quickly. And those things will all come to full council, but they can be, if you like, the donkey work can be done in a committee, the actual nitpicking and sorting out, and then when a decent document is prepared, then the whole council can decide whether to accept that or not. And if it's not fair, and if it's not what the whole council wants, then it can't go any further, because if you keep the 3-2 proportion in the Finance and General Purposes Committee, which I suggest we do, if you keep that 3-2 proportion in the Finance and General Purposes Committee, then when you come to the full council meeting, you've still got the 5-4 between the 2 wards. If the full council, how can I say this? If some of the councillors on the committee weren't happy with the decision that the committee had done, then they would very easily overturn it at the full council if that was necessary. It's not a big enough number for the full council not to be able to overturn it. On the finance decisions, those are the ones that will come back. Certain finance decisions can't be done. So routine bills can be paid, as Dennis was mentioning earlier. That kind of thing can be done at a committee, but strategy decisions can't be done at a committee. It's got to come back to the full, so it shouldn't influence that.
The main Chair, yeah, I agree we have committees. But when a committee brings, it's a recommendation that you bring towards the full council, and only members that are not on the certain committee can vote.
So the members on that committee
Yes.
can't vote on
Can't vote.
whatever the decision
No.
is.
You know that, don't you? Were you aware of that?
No.
No.
That's
Well,
So the full
Right.
council still has
and the clerk
loads of
knows
power.
that like the recommendation brought to the remainder of the council that are not members of the committee. We vote. You don't.
That's an additional safeguard.
Yeah.
Fairness.
You have nothing, all you do is make recommendation, then you put it towards the full council, those it's not on it, and then you've got a chance to say each council and you agree with or you don't. So the vote comes a yes or no, I'm majority. Now, if it's a tie, of course, the chair will come in and
And I think that would be, I think with that additional safeguard by the sound of it, you've not really got a great deal to worry about. We have got this really crucial deadline for getting Claire's contract sorted out, which needs to be done, and it's going to involve quite a lot of work because of the backup policies and some difficulties that Alex pointed out last time.
So are you looking at volunteers for this?
I'm looking at volunteers.
Well, hang on, I mean, I'm not comfortable with having a finance committee. I'm not, because we've already discussed it. There's foundations which are standing orders state that we can't go back over it, so finance committee it can't be, because we can't revisit it, so it needs changing in some way. I hear what you're saying, and then what Dennis has put, that's a new twist on it as well, that changes it. But it's not finance committee. We've already discussed that. It can't be debated again.
Now they have assured us that a Finance and General Purposes Committee is different from a Finance Committee. And they've also said that this is the time of year for rejigging your committees. That's what you do.
It seems a bit strange we take Nalk's advice if and when it suits, so vote away. I've seen my piece. I don't think we should revisit it until after the time. I think it should remain at full council.
Why can't you just have a general purposes committee and then leave the finance
because there are
as
some,
it is?
there are one or two documents to do with the audit that need to be looked at in quite some detail. I'm trying to think if I've got it here. That horrible grid with all of the highlighted bits, it's quite complicated. It's going to be a real task to look at that very closely. Now what it doesn't do, it's not about committing the council to spending or anything like that. It audits it's how we are auditing our own processes and whether we are got good risk assessments in place and things like that. So it's not committing the council to anything. It's a policy. It's slightly really important. Can I say in public it's really important but actually slightly tedious? It's one of those things that you just have to go through with a fine-tooth comb and look at all of our procedures for money, the things that Sue was mentioning about having that our public documents should be, the financial risk assessment hasn't been carried out during the year. It needs to be done in the near future was the recommended action.
And what does that involve?
That horrible grid that I mentioned, that you have to go through the fine-tooth comb, discuss with the responsible financial officer what we are actually doing and what we're intending to do, and making sure that all sorts of issues, whether we've got the right insurance, I can't remember everything on the document, it's about 4 slides long, it's not very.
I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah. I came across it through the auditing thing because I took the stuff to the gentleman who did the audit. I was the runner for that job. So I really do think that we need to move on and that this will be a really productive way of doing it. If it doesn't work for us, then we don't have to use it. But if we can get it started and get some useful work done, I think it will be very helpful, and the full council meetings will be a bit more efficient. So do we have some volunteers that want to be on it? Given that, as I say, we will have to have 2 additional meetings to the full council in June, I think, to get the work done.
Yes, I'll give it a whirl.
There's no point in me doing it because you've already said
That you're away.
that I'm away in the summer and you obviously don't want me on it, so...
No, that's not the case at all. We have to get... I'm really sorry about that. I did say we've got to get the clerk's contract done this month. There's a legal deadline. If she doesn't have it done by, is it the end of June?
6 weeks from when I started, so yeah.
Middle of June, in fact. We've really got to get it done fast. And it's not about excluding you, it's about making sure Claire's contract is correct. We tried to do it at the last meeting, but we were unable to due to some difficulties that were raised with it. So we've just got to get moving.
See, I've no, although I'm supposed to be the point of contact for the new clerk, I've had no paperwork or anything to say that she's started work, what her hours are, anything.
At the last meeting, the process of starting Claire, doing your induction and getting the stuff together and in place was given to me to do. I was deputed to do whatever it took to get us started. So I met Claire and with Andrew we started handing bits and pieces over.
But surely you could have kept me informed.
My apologies for not keeping you informed. I wasn't actually aware of that as your role until an email recently, because we're going back quite a long time when it was established. In the interest of carrying on with this, and the time is ticking on, it's nearly 8:30 already. So Jack, Andrew and I have volunteered. Do you have anybody else that would be involved in this committee? Ali, are you?
No, I haven't got the time to get it.
No?
I haven't.
No? Mike?
Difficult for me at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm still in hospital coming.
Can we ask? We can't really ask Alex in his absence, can we?
Can we have this three
Can you
people?
not defer it and...
No, we've got to get Claire's contract sorted out. It's
But
really essential.
There's no reason why you can't sort the contract out, surely, to goodness.
It's got to have a committee meeting to ratify it, to sign it and everything. We've been through this with Malcolm. We've got to get it done properly. It doesn't have to be. Actually, 3 people is quorum. So how about the 3 of us who've said that we're prepared to do it will be quorum, and then we're still looking for 2 volunteers going forward. That people can volunteer at the next meeting. Yeah. Right. So we are going forward with the meeting. Can we do next Tuesday? Because it's really essential. So we go ahead with the finance and general purpose. We've got the 3 people, lovely. So yeah, potentially 2 more. But we are quorum with 3. Shall I propose that? Second?
Yeah.
Andrew or Jack is seconding. Yes.
Chair, if the planning committee is saying that.
I was going to suggest that it only needs to be quite short, so if we can do that after, that would work quite. We'll do ours after the planning. So you do planning first and then go on after, and then we only need to book 1.
I can do it 7.
Yeah, lovely. So we'll initial meeting on the 7th, and then we'll set the meetings after that. The 3 of us. Got proposer and seconder. Voting for that.
Abstain.
What's this for?
The Finance and General Purposes Committee, and who's on the Finance and General
Oh, I
Purposes
see, yeah.
Committee.
Yeah.
So if you're happy to go ahead with that, we're voting for that now.
I'm ready.
Yeah, if we don't want it, you need to vote against.
Yeah.
Or if you're not sure, if you're uncertain, then abstain.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah, so are you for it, Frank? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
lovely. So is that abstention from Pat and
I'll vote against.
1 against? Right. Nominations of councillors for a planning committee. We know how the planning committee works. We got into a nice little pattern with it.
Yes, I'll put my name down for that.
Yeah, Frank, Mike is your private planning, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll carry on to
Yeah.
Waltman.
Andrew, are you carrying on with planning? Okay. I think we should probably have a good number, because then, if we're not all available, we've still got enough. So I will stay on, because I tend to do the minutes, and I think that's quite. Does anybody else want to do minutes? No, I will stay on then in order to have somebody do the minutes so that we don't drag them out. Yeah. We've got Andrea, Jack, Frank, Mike, and me still. So I propose those 5 people on the planning. Somebody want to second the 5 people on the planning?
Can we second yourselves?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'll second it.
Ready for 4?
Yeah.
Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? comes through. Liaison officers, we've got the nomination of liaison officers. Are the current liaison officers happy with their roles? We won't know about Alex, but are the other liaison officers happy with their roles? Because we've built up links in the area. We've visited Flower Park, haven't we, Jack, a couple of times?
Yep.
Yeah. So if we're happy to continue as we are with that, everybody in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah. All in favour. Nice. Oh, I introduced you in the wrong place. We've come up now. Yeah. So we have already introduced our responsible financial officer and our clerk. Councillor Beeston, do you have a report for us?
Yes. You know when you asked me regarding the sports mill,
Oh,
I've
yes.
got a reply.
Oh, lovely.
It says, we have received an email recently regarding the above. I'm the officer and I'm hoping to make a recommendation for the application to be heard at the next planning committee. The agenda will be issued at the end of next week when this will be confirmed. So,
Is there a date?
it took place until next week.
Is there a date? Date, Dennis, for that meeting?
No.
It's on
And next
Facebook.
We sent it on
He usually send that to give our planning committee on behalf of that. The other one that I've been on again is the one about the footpath that gets flooded.
Yeah.
It says, now the big girl that I was liaison with, she's gone to another website which I gave it to a bloke called David Walker. The minor drainage improvement undertaken by the countryside access. She kept work last month when I inspected the footpath was clear with no flooding issues. The footpath was in need of the sweep and I arranged for this to be undertaken by Ashford District Council, who are responsible for this, the street cleaning in this area. The design team are currently looking at the other option of a problem recurring and should it do so, we will back and look at additional drainage improvements in the future year programme. Now the next one I've got, it's not in letter, it's we've got a bus service which will take over from Little, starts in August and it's going to be run by County Council. They're only going to Hill Road and turning round. The bus will start at Selston and come straight through. So I said, that's lovely. I've never been to South to see what it's like from back, so I can go in.
So does it go from Selston to Cinder Hill now through the village?
Cinder Hill, yes. It's going to, we'll get on at Cinder Hill, or we'll get on at the stops where we use now, and the timetable is about the same.
Right. Okay, lovely. Thank
So
you.
that's good news. We've lost it. A lot of people lost their services. A lot. Rural that we've kept
Thank you.
I see that bus don't go to Upnall then, Bennett.
No. Well, listen. I agree with County Council. We've already got one, we've 141. Now don't forget that when we pay for this buses, it's us that's paying for it, you know.
Yeah.
At our rates. Now, council has got to be reasonable and say, no, you've got a bus that goes to, it goes to, no 141.
Yeah.
So we all have to.
Thank you.
But it was a shame that we lost this at night one, you know. But there again, it was. Anyhow. we've got a ball with us, but a lot of it, our people were getting a bit worried that we've got one.
You've still got a ball.
I think I gave you a timetable.
You did, but I think you took it back again. I looked at it, but then you took it away again. But
Every year a timetable.
lovely.
I took it, bullshit.
Oh, I gave it to Frank.
I took it, and
Frank took it.
I printed some off then, actually.
You've got to put service.
Thank you very much. Did you have anything else?
I will eventually. And I've got a lot, in fact tomorrow, I've got to see a gentleman that's coming about some fly tipping up at the spinny end of fly tipping. Now these fly tippers have got this summons. Because somebody, it's horrible. I don't know if anybody in the audience has seen some of the fly tipping. I mean, it's horrible. Somebody got messed up. And when it's near somebody's house, it's not very nice, is it? So, and another thing I'm looking at, probably up a while ago then, is that the weeding. They usually do weeding this time of year. You know the weeds that's growing on the pavement. I'm going to see about getting them done. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Beeston. Councillor Bissett, did you want to say anything?
No.
No? All right, thank you very much.
See you, Molly.
See you, Marvin. Take you drink.
Right, so we've got some finance papers in pink. We've got some orders for payments, the clerk's wages and expenses, and then we also need to talk about arrangements for the clerk to access the bank accounts. So the first two, is the audit down under something other than? Oh yeah, it's under business, it's under new business. So we've got the clerk's wages and expenses, and yeah, so we've got a list of orders for payment here on the 22nd of March, which includes the clerk's wages and expenses. So that makes sense. Both clerks, the previous clerk's last wage and Claire's wage, which is for the work that she's done up until this point. So we're paying her at the end of each month, effectively, although that might get rejigged if we change the dates of the meetings, but we'll have to work out trying to work out later. Okay, are we happy to, can I have somebody to propose and second the orders for payment?
I propose.
Yeah. Second that.
Yeah, that.
It's fairly straightforward, I think. Arrangements for clerk to access the bank accounts. Oh, sorry, we haven't voted, sorry. Can I just... Brilliant. Can I haven't actually said, we proposed and seconded. Are we happy with to approve the payments? Everybody happy to do that? Lovely, so we're all in.
I'll look to the bank account and I'll look to get you internet access as in online banking.
That's fantastic, thank you, Ali. Make life a bit easier. Seconded was it Frank, I think? Dennis, sorry, Dennis and Frank. So, we're moving on to planning. Liaising with the Ashfield District Council, which is just sort of an ongoing difficulty really that we're not finding out about it. Yeah.
Remind, I'm very well known with it.
Yeah.
You want me to write a letter stating that we would like anything that's happening in our area to let us know.
Yeah,
Well,
Dennis, that would be really
you
good.
let, if you minute that letter, and I'll see to that.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I've got an answer to
You have, which was excellent. Did you
I'll do
email
that.
them as well? Lovely. So we've got two things going on in that. We've got some new applications. So we were talking before the meeting about having, or earlier in the meeting, about having a planning meeting next Tuesday before the Finance and General Purpose meeting so that we can cover these applications there. I think they fall within the time limit, if everybody's happy for that.
Have you got a time,
7 o'clock.
location?
We know that the church is available. I know we've had too many here, but then we can go forward by looking at, we need to look at locations for the other meetings, don't we? Is that later on the agenda? So if we can do that one here, because it's only a week away and we know that we can.
You say 7 o'clock for planning?
7 o'clock for planning, 7:30 for finance and general purposes. So that's, unless anybody had anything else to say about planning, we can proceed on to number 15, which is ongoing business or new business. Jack, insurance quotes, I think we've had some good...
Yeah, we're currently insured with Zurich, and the renewal is actually tomorrow. It's not unfortunate the meeting is on today, but that's not necessarily a problem. It was agreed that we would seek alternatives, and it would appear that the market really is dominated by Zurich and Aon for council insurance.
They've done with the previous ones as well, which is why they changed to Zurich.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Yeah, fine. Okay. Yeah, that's the alternative.
Pat, did it go Aon, then Zurich?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had Zurich last year, Aon the year before.
As I said, Aon was really the only alternative. I couldn't find that anybody else really was in the market for council insurance. Now they've come in £500 cheaper than Zurich, but essentially the same terms. The main difference is that the property damage excess is £125 with Aon as opposed to £100 with Zurich. On the face of it, it would appear that Aon are giving the better deal, but Pat, if you have had any difficult, poor experiences with Aon, then please share those. I don't know.
Well, no, when I took it over, the paperwork was all for Eon for years and years, and then the year before they just swapped over to Zurich. So Mary Hall obviously went into it and found that Zurich were obviously offering a better deal. So
Now it appears that's not, yes, it seems to have diverted the other
whether
way.
it's because they've lost a lot of business
But
to Zurich,
Trying to get us back again, perhaps.
I mean,
a lot of them are doing that now.
insurance is very cyclical, is that the right word?
Cyclic?
Cyclical.
I know when pushing out that meeting, there was a chap there, wasn't there, from at that NAB meeting.
Yeah.
There was a chap there doing insurance, and it was through the council.
Given the timeline that we've got, I suggest we go with this Aon quote, and then we'll look at our documents. I've got that pack from that meeting. I've forgotten all about that. We'll have a look in that and see if
I
there's
wasn't aware of
anything.
that.
No, that's fine. We'll see if there's
It
anything
was
better for
just
next year.
people
Yeah,
down with
yeah.
the storms.
I've kept my new Claire informed of everything. I've been copying to everything, even down to today. Because we had an actual email from Zurich today saying, are you renewing or not? If you are, or if you don't hear from you, we'll take you on a renew for another 12 months. So I've emailed them very quickly to say, hang on a minute, we'll let you know. So if you can, do you work on Wednesday? We really need to sort it tomorrow. To tell Zurich we're not, if that's what council agree.
What does it actually cover, Jack?
Well, property, it's an all-risk property, all-risk on property,
Which is?
contents of the car uses,
all that.
and then everything that we own, so all the equipment in the playgrounds, on the museum, the streets that they welcome to the village signs, the war memorial, anything that the council own.
And is that money
That's one of the things.
Yeah,
No.
is that the money that's is the money for that coming out of the budget? Because all the user stuff you were saying was it was all going to come out of a separate follow?
Yeah, which is the
Yeah.
claim VAT.
Yeah,
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so the music stuff won't come out of that.
Well, that's an internal adjustment that we need to make.
Yeah,
And it's relatively
Yeah.
small, the amount on music. And actually it's going to be very difficult to identify with Aon because they don't ask for the property to be individually described, whereas
Well,
Zurich do.
yeah, but all your music stuff will be, won't it? Because that'll all be separate, or you
I'm saying that when Aon
is an overall quote.
give their price, they don't
broken down.
They don't want the individual
Well,
property to be described.
ask them to break it down.
Right, okay. It's an internal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I would ask them, because you wouldn't, at home, you wouldn't just pay a figure and then, you know, it's, say you don't have bikes or you don't have a car and they're charging you for insuring them and
They insure it's a blanket wording which includes all our property. We don't need to individually describe it. Now that is a far more advantageous situation than if you do have to individually describe it, providing the bottom line premium is acceptable.
But surely, for the inventory, for the parish council inventory,
Yes,
you need to have everything itemised.
and we have.
Yeah.
We have
The
covered
inventory
everything.
is
So
itemised,
what-
but the insurance
What's the
isn't
problem with
itemised.
letting an insurance company?
They don't need to know.
We don't want to.
I'm not asking for it, we're just saying we'll cover you. We've got the inventory here, and they're just saying we'll cover you. Whereas Zurich will say we want the inventory, Aon obviously don't.
When I asked for the quotation for Aon, I actually sent all the information, which broke down everything to them, and they said we don't need to we just give you this for all your property.
So given the time, can I propose that we ask Jack and Claire to organise that so that our cover is continuous, and do people want to go with the lowest quote as it appears to give an equal coverage? Yeah, you happy with that?
Yeah.
Right. So if I propose somebody second?
I'll second that.
Oh, Frank's
I'll
seconding.
second that, yeah.
And in favour? Everybody happy with that? Yeah. So, statement and matters arising from the internal audit. Right. Now, this is not something I have a great deal of experience of, but using the information from previous years, our pack of financial stuff was delivered to an auditor who went through everything and issued this report that you've already received, and it highlighted a couple of things to think about. So there's no action on the first matter. The second matter about the annual financial risk assessment, we have talked about that earlier. He knows that the clerk was looking at it and that it needs to be looked into in the near future, that we are going to do something about that. The minutes of the meetings are not consecutively numbered. That was the situation that Sue mentioned, where every meeting had begun at number 1, and each meeting in the year should continue with the number that the previous meeting finished on, if you see what I mean. So we ended up starting at 40 and starting at 16 things. So we know what to do about that now going forward. The minutes of the meeting held on the 12th of January appear to suggest that the budget for 2016-17 was constructed at the meeting. As we know, that was a very confused and complicated meeting, but he says that the budget needs to be prepared in advance of the meeting to afford members the opportunity of preparing adequate debate. And I think it's probably really important that rather than doing it on the same day, which we did last time, which meant there was no time to do anything about it if for some reason the meeting couldn't be held, we need to make sure that we have that meeting in hand in plenty of time so that we can respond to it before it then goes to full council.
I believe it wasn't the budget anyway, it was just a precept, and then it wasn't it. Is that
Yeah,
right?
it was just discussing the precept of what.
It wasn't the budget.
The
There was nothing set in stone.
No, that's right.
No, the budget isn't set in stone, it's a suggestion. So we had to prepare a budget to prove that we'd set the correct precept. And that was why there was a lot of money left over, because it was decided we'd saved a lot of costs and then the additional money would be spent through grants rather than being allocated, that there was enough money left over to just go for grants. So that was number 4. Number 5, there's no evidence in the minutes that the council monitors the progress against the budget on a regular basis, and that we should do that at least quarterly. Now that had been our habit in the past, but we've fallen out of that habit in recent months, I think because of all the to and froing. But Claire, you've got that in hand to take forward, haven't you?
It was something that was brought up in the Commissioner's question as well, so it's there, it's open and transparency, so
Yeah.
that's something that's...
And it had been done regularly, but I think with all of the chopping and changing, it just fell off the register.
The radar.
Thank you very much. Well done, Pat. I was fumbling. But I mean, overall, I think Sue did a pretty good job to get everything together in time for the internal audit and get us through it, basically, despite all of the chopping and changing. She managed to find every last checkbook stub, which is pretty good going by the time it had been down to Lewisham, to your garage, and across to Nuttall and everything else. So I think that's a success. Sorry?
I found those checkbooks.
At one point, there was one that Sue couldn't find, but it turned up in a corner.
It was in a...
Was it in that big black bag with the funny handle in
that
there?
bag, and it was in a wallet.
Yeah, I think one of them had there was a bit of confusion around one of them, that last one, but it turned up. So that's excellent. And all the toing and froing, to be able to have everything that we needed for the audit was pretty good going, frankly. To discuss the matters arising from the internal audit. The notice board and the Top Valley Board.
Andrew, the match fund arrived, didn't it? Because the previous council agreed one notice board, and at that time it was to replace the wooden notice board, which is now the one in Academy. Since then, in the summer, Pat and myself and Ali, weren't it, had a look around, and we thought if we were only going to get that one notice board, we'd prefer to prioritise one near the mini market. It's just a little shop that it's locally called Top Shop, but it's actually the Crest mini market. And Councillor Jabanskas was looking at the paperwork around that one, so that was to be the first one.
The paperwork has gone. The paperwork went to, I think it went to Sue, who then forwarded it, but as far as I know, it's in Gedlin, or the relevant people are in receipt of the paperwork.
Yeah, can you chase that up for us, Claire? That would be really good.
And then
Alex,
Alex,
he sent a letter to, or taken the paperwork into the shop. The chap is, he actually only leases the shop, the chap that's in there now. The chap that owns it, obviously is in India because he's had a family bereavement, so it's now been passed on to the actual owner of the business, so there's no comeback at the moment.
Everything takes such a long time, doesn't it, with these kinds of things? You'd think you could just go for it, but there's always...
I mean, I actually emailed John Polly a couple of occasions, but I've still not had a reply about is the ground suitable. So I've given up.
Which ground is...
The ground outside for the shop, outside the shop, if it was suitable enough for the ground workings, etc. There was never any reply.
Could you try chasing that up, Claire? Jan Pauly, is it a Notts County Council email address or
Yeah, John Paul is, yes.
Notts County Council?
Yes.
So it should be in your contacts. If you haven't, Ali will have it. And then we're asking her about the suitability of the site. What do we need to do to find out about the suitability of the site?
No, it's not what we need to do. She was going to assess to make sure it was suitable.
Right.
She checked in the ground workings, etc. and tell us if it was suitable. Obviously we need the shop's permission, but she was going to say it can go here or be careful because of X, Y, Z. That's what she was going to do.
Jan Paul was retiring, and I think she might have gone, Ali. I'm not sure, but I think she might have gone.
She actually,
Possibly explains why. Not that
she prompted me to email her to tell her about the sites that she
How
was
long
going
ago was that?
last year
Yeah.
before she went on holiday.
Yeah.
I did so,
Right.
and then I reminded her as another prompt, nothing.
Okay.
So if she's retired,
I think she's
Cancel that.
retired now.
Well,
I've got
Nelson
an
will have it.
I've got an email address anyway, just in case.
Jan Paul, she could be on.
Right.
And then there was a discussion around where the second one was going to go. Because there were two possibilities near the bus stops on Newcastle Road, which is near to Warren Ward, or near the park, the playground area. And I think
I think the park is possibly the next best site due to parents parking there. That road gets used as parking for the school to try and take some of the congestion from Newcastle. I don't know what your feelings on that are, Pat, anything, or yours, but the second site for me would be the park. Plus, it's the park, so it's like a community area, commune, etc.
You guys know the area.
The football is a lot higher there.
Rather than up at the end, I mean, that might be one for the future, but that could be obviously a discussion in the future. I think the park would be the best option.
So are we happy for Warren Ward councillors, Top Valley Ward councillors, to make the decision about where that goes? Is that, rather than keeping coming back here, we can...
and if we need to know if John's in post or not, or who the person is, don't we?
To
Well,
contact
Dennis
for
said
Paul,
that he knows all the people there, so he can find
Now,
out.
what?
that'll be it.
I've had it long, so then.
fine, so Dennis can give us that information, and shall we take a vote on taking that, do we need to vote on that second site, or is that just...
I would take a vote that the 5 Warren Ward councillors, the 5 Top Valley councillors can decide where that should go.
Absolutely.
Because that way, if
You
you
know
get
best.
information which tells you that actually this isn't the best site because of something, you can there and then work out where the best site is. Do you see what I mean? Rather than continually having to come back.
Are we going to keep the other one, Andrew, at the primary school? I should keep that continuing. Yes. So are we quite happy to have either one as is, one at the shop and the second one to be at the park? Yeah? Mike? Agreed. Pat? Yeah, second one at the park.
Yes.
Keeping the original wooden one at the school for the time being, but another one at the shop and then the second new one at the park.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to propose that the Top Valley Ward councillors make that decision so that if any information changes, you can change it without having to come back to us. Yeah.
That's sensible, isn't it?
Fine.
Yeah, so...
I'll second that.
Agreed?
No.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Lovely. Dates of future meetings and arrangements for ring hire. Now, this is really tricky. It would be lovely to go back to alternating between the two areas. Now, Jack, can you remind us how much it is here?
It's £30 for as long as we
Right. And Oakwood Academy was significantly more expensive than that, I think.
80, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
75 with the transfer.
But there was the other school,
Primary.
Warren Primary.
Yes.
Warren
Warren Academy, yes.
Warren Academy.
Yep.
They were much more reasonable in the past. I don't know whether they still are. Does anybody know?
I'm not sure.
The cost of
Warren
Warren.
Academy.
Can I follow that? And I'll follow the primary school because my wife works there just as a playground assistant. But there's a new head teacher in place now as well. The previous one, Sue Ella, wasn't it? She's leaving. So there's a new Miss Tinsdale, there's a new head teacher. But I can follow that up on a price
That would be really
and
good.
I'll email it back out.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Ask her if we can get a discount.
Well, Matrix.
And if it's comparable, then absolutely we go back and forth between the two. How much more expensive does it need to be before we say, actually, that is too expensive? I think it's really important to keep meeting in both areas, though. Obviously, it's so easy for us here because we've got access to the church calendar and the church keys, so we can arrange a room at the drop of a hat. But we should be meeting up there as well.
I think I'd really like it to alternate about it.
So will we...
And the balance of fairness for the parishioners, etc. Definitely keep it between one
Yeah.
one etc.
Then what we need to identify is how much extra can we stand.
I don't have a figure in mind.
I totally agree.
Don't have a figure in mind.
If it got as much as 80, if it was as much as the Bigwood Academy, the Oakwood Academy, would we still want to do that?
6 8, 40, it's £480 a year. Is it 6 meetings?
Say it's double.
That's too much, isn't it?
It's a good chunk of the budget.
But it would probably be okay to go to 40 or 50?
Yeah, I'd suggest we go to 50. It's in the interest of it being fair and balanced between the two wards. We need to be prepared to pay some extra.
How much is the church hall? Is it per hour?
It's busy on a Tuesday.
I know, Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, no, it's busy on a Tuesday. What time does
Busy on-
Boys Brigade finish on a Tuesday?
4 to 8.
So we wouldn't be able to start until... It would be difficult to start at 8 because they have to clear up. Is the difficulty. Because we've looked at them before. Is there any other room up there?
I think the one primary was £30. Last time we used it, but I think that was October last year, so whether they...
The church at Rise Park has got a good room. You know the one next to the doctor's
Outside of the
surgery?
Yeah, might be
Parish.
worth asking them.
We could try there.
It's outside of the parish.
It's outside the boundaries.
I mean, if it was £30, it was...
Might still be. Let's not borrow trouble. But I mean, we can actually...
I'll give it my best smile.
Excellent. And we can get Claire to book it. If it's up to 50, say, we're happy for Claire to go ahead and book the church alternating with Lauren Primary Academy.
I'll try and get to her, hopefully, Monday. School's, in fact, it's Inside Day, isn't it? I believe it is.
It's here on Monday.
Because they missed the bank holiday, so it's Inside Day Monday, so it'll be Tuesday. Yeah.
Can I suggest that rather, looking at the dates now so that we know when to book, we found out at church that first Tuesdays in the month often clash with bank holidays and school holidays. Church it's Sundays, second ones in the month tend to avoid school holidays and bank holidays. Could we switch to a second Tuesday in the month rather than a first Tuesday in the month? Does that bother anybody in particular? And then from September we'd go forward with the second Tuesday in the month, and then it would be there on the notice board, on the website.
It seems reasonable that coinciding with the bank holiday, look at the trouble with the flood scene and etc. So,
Yeah,
could be a good idea.
go for a second one.
And we can give that to the school as a pencil in, look, we're going to look at the second Tuesdays.
Yeah, I think that would be really useful. And with that in mind as well, that just in order to get our June and July meetings in, we don't normally meet in August. Is everybody happy to
Thanks,
meet
Tammy.
in August?
So it's a holiday in August,
Yeah. So in order to carry on our pattern just until we get to August, it would be the 28th of June and the 26th of July. And then from September onward, we'd be back to our normal pattern. Yeah?
Okay.
If everybody's happy with that.
Are we going to start and have a meeting up there and a meeting down here?
That's right, Fred.
That's what we're starting now.
That's right. And
Very good.
Claire's going to organise that for us, and she's got the date. She knows where she's
Yeah.
going. Ali's checking the
Date for up there?
prices.
Yeah.
What's the date for up? Warden Academy?
Well, it could be either
Which was, just repeat it.
28th of June or the 26th of July, whichever one you're able to get.
Or the 26th? July.
School
Yeah.
holidays.
Given how close
School
that
holidays,
is to the end
26th
of
of July.
term, it might be better to do that one here and the 28th of June at the school.
Aye.
And then that won't be a problem next time because of the second Tuesdays.
I'll see what I can do. It's going to be Tuesday, like I say.
You were looking anxious, Mike. Was it a problem with the pattern or the specific dates? Because we are running in.
Maybe on the 24th.
So nice to see you here tonight. And
You do.
Right, excellent. Do we need to move and second and adopt those, or is everybody happy with those?
Yep.
Yeah, right. So moving forward, correspondence received. Have we had any significant correspondence? Oh, I'm so sorry. I've skipped over website.
Yeah.
Goodness me. The hot topic of the evening, apart from anything else. So, Claire, you are trying to meet with the person who has access to the website with the intention of getting access to the website so it can be constantly updated.
I am.
How about if you haven't got access to the website by the next meeting, if you've not got the access that you need by the next meeting, should we get tenders in?
Yeah.
Because then that gives us the July meeting. If we ask for tenders in the June meeting, we've then got the July meeting to discuss the tenders. We could potentially be up and running with it, ready for the September meeting over the holiday.
What's the gentleman's name again?
Ken Wade.
Ask him how much he would charge to build the new website.
Right.
I think he's been asked.
And he said he would.
And he said no.
Right. Because we have an offer of building a website and managing that website for, obviously there's a monthly cost for hosting the site that the council will have, you'll have full access. And the gentleman will run it for us, but the access will be used, etc.
How
So,
much?
I'm not going to discuss it with full council.
You mustn't discuss it in full council. You're right. Good point.
Well, the council can hear, but obviously in public no.
Yeah, no, you're right.
The cost has been brought up before.
Can you, so if we don't have access to this one by the next meeting, we will do something completely different. And if you're able to have something on paper about that, good night, Dennis.
Okay.
Hey Dennis,
We'll be following you in a bit.
the website's tired.
Yeah.
It's pretty plain and bland, and I really think we could try and bring it up into the future.
Well, I tell you what, for the next meeting, could you speak to the gentleman you had in mind? Have you got any other contacts that are similar?
That's the only one. Sue Stack was going to ask for a daughter, but obviously there was Sue's. I think there was a £2,000 cost in that.
Right.
I don't know.
I've got another contact for that as well. Somebody who I thought Parish Council was. His name is very similar to John Waite. It's John Waite or something like that. And I got in touch with him thinking that he had ours, but he didn't. So I must have an email from him somewhere.
Can I just ask, the requirement to seek tenders, is that not subject to a minimum spend?
But it would be wise to have more than one option when we decide though, wouldn't it?
It depends on what we're offered.
Well, I can ask the chap that if Ali and I coordinate, yes.
Yeah, all I'm trying to do is just not make it any more difficult and lengthy a
I'll ask
process.
the guy I
It needs to be,
know,
that's
you
all.
ask the guy you know, and we'll have something to bring to the next council meeting, and either Claire will have access, or we'll go with one of those options.
I might not be the next one, but I'll put something in place for that.
Fantastic.
It's in the middle of a 2-week break for me, so there's a chance of going away.
Sure.
But
When you can, you have to.
yeah, okay.
Make a note of that so that I remember to do it. Website, contact. Right, thank you for pointing that out. Correspondence. Any correspondence on the next slide?
Just for the local plan.
Mike's done this for the local plan, hasn't he? Is that?
As to where we
It
can put
came in
it.
an envelope to you.
Oh, where we can put it. Oh. Right.
Had a phone call from Gedling to who's where they usually display it, is it the social
The welfare.
welfare?
Yes, that was a bit of a drama. I think Jack sorted that out
Yes, all been sorted. Yeah.
in the space of about half an hour.
It's the local strategy. The update on it, isn't it? It's just generally doesn't update much actually, does it?
No.
But they nominate the social club in the village available for public display of those documents, and of course it's shut. So I had a frantic phone call from someone at Gelton Planning to say, can you suggest anywhere else? And I suggested the church, and we've taken us up on that.
Okay.
So the documents are currently here.
Okay.
And they hastily put together a new notice, which is I've put in the parish notice boards. Yeah. And so that's the situation.
So it's been publicised, it's here. It's mainly relevant to the village because it's about new houses on the edge of the village again, basically.
But I've had a quick look at it, and there's not a lot new. How much you looked at it?
Again, a quick look and I couldn't see anything new. Right, if there's no correspondence, we can carry on. Is there anything else which is urgent but not listed on the agenda? We can't make any decisions. I think it would be lovely to do a different parish meeting next year to make a real special thing out of it. So if you want to bear in mind what we could do.
The parish meeting.
The parish meeting.
Yeah, I mean, for people that are still here, I can only apologise again because we all admit to not being able to give you the information we wanted to.
We had some recruitment situations and
I think some
meetings
failures.
were moved.
Some
because
failures from a lot of the universities. We'll look to readdress that
yeah.
for the future.
And I really like the idea of the finance information being easier to process, because I actually struggle to process it in the form it's in. Having something that's more user-friendly would be really helpful. That's a good idea. And Excel does it all for you anyway, apparently. We don't think we have any confidential items.
I do.
You have got right.
I've got 3 that I want to run up. Most of them one along.
In that case, the date and location for the next parish meeting we talked about earlier. It will be the 28th of June, and the location, we're hoping that it will be at Lawn Primary.
I get a price, I'll email it to everybody, and hopefully we can make some kind of decision on that.
But we'll publicise it on the notice boards in the usual
Next
way.
Tuesday I shall have some sort of answer.
Lovely, thank you very much when they're back. In that case, we need to move on.